As you probably know, there have been a lot of changes recently in the bar exam. So recently, our podcast co-host and senior editor at Celebration Bar Review, Megan Saya, joined me to sit down and talk through what we know as of right now about the upcoming bar exam. I wanted to provide you with a brief bit of that discussion to help you understand what your choices and options might be and where the bar exam stands at this moment. Let's get into that conversation.
Canceled their September in-person exam. So as of right now, there's no bar exam happening in New York in 2020. Like as of right now, that doesn't mean permanently, but as of this moment, you cannot take a bar exam in New York for the rest of 2020. They have a temporary authorization program that's pretty extensive, but it's still first-time bar takers employed in New York. So if you've ever failed the bar, anywhere, New York or anywhere else, you're not eligible for it. They did put together a working group to determine whether or not they should do the online exam. So they should know about that, they said, by early August. So keep your eyes open. That could open up New York to a lot of people, including a lot of our students who were locked out of New York for this examination round. There is a possibility that, especially for people who I know have taken New York and failed New York, and then this time around have been unable to take the New York bar and have gone to other jurisdictions that have then shut down or said, oh, we're just doing a state-specific one or things like that. Keep your eyes on this because this may be sort of a saving grace for you, that you may be able to take the New York bar exam for October 5th and 6th to get admitted in New York. So this might be a good solution for you.
Yeah. Look, it is discouraging when they say there's no bar exam. And it is frightening because then you think to yourself, well, the 6,000 or 7,000 typical bar takers in July would roll over. I mean, many of those people would be diploma privileged, but they would roll over into February of 2021 when, candidly, it's hard to imagine sitting here in July of 2020 that COVID is going to be gone by February of 2021. I hope so, but I don't think so. And so if you add 7,000 bar takers that didn't get any chance at an exam in 2020, in addition to the 4,000 or 5,000 that typically sit in February, you have a massive logistical nightmare. If that's obvious to us, it must be a blaring, flashing red light to the New York bar examiners and to the New York judiciary. And I don't think they want that circumstance. I think they'd like to do whatever they can do to avoid that happening. So they tried this idea of tiered applications for an in-person exam. It became obvious you couldn't do an in-person exam. So then I think that they are simply trying to give themselves a little bit of breathing room to see if they can legitimately go online. Now, when states like California and Florida go online, I think that's encouraging to New York. It should give them some pathway that they can follow to get a big state online for an exam, because really those are the three states with the biggest number of bar takers. And if Florida and California can figure out how to do it, I think New York can as well. So if I'm betting right now, I'm betting on an October 5th and 6th New York online exam. And I'm betting that once they do that, they're going to open it wide open and say to anyone, here's an open registration, come in, take the exam. Now, it won't be a UBE. We cannot say this often enough. It will not be a portable score. If you want to take the UBE in Alabama coming up, we're going to talk about Alabama in a minute, I guess, or New Mexico or Colorado, and transfer your UBE score to New York, you can still do that and become a member of the New York bar that way. But if they give an exam on October 5th and 6th, it will be a one-off score. On the other hand, there's this thing called reciprocity, which is, for those of us who are old enough, we remember reciprocity. Your generation doesn't know anything about it, I know. And it's different than score portability. And reciprocity means whatever it takes. And if I'm a member of the bar in this state, then I can waive into your state without another exam. And that's different than score portability. So there could be reciprocity between New Jersey and New York, or Tennessee and New York. I mean, there's all sorts of permutations here. We're going to talk about some of those in a minute for the states that are giving the exam in October. But the point I really want to make, the takeaway here, is if you had planned to take the New York bar exam in 2020 or in early 2021, you should be studying right now as though you will sit for an exam on October 5th and 6th. You absolutely should be doing that. The worst case scenario is that you pout and you get angry, rightfully so, and you say, they don't want me in, I'm not going to take it, I'm just going to wait. And then voila, Shazam, somewhere in August, they say, we're going to give this test, and you're caught flat-footed. You haven't been doing the studying, and you think you're upset now, you're going to be really upset when that happens. So I don't know how else to say it to folks. You've got to keep studying. You cannot be distracted by all this stuff that's going on.